houses from what I created. Proud of that. We can turn this tragedy into economic prosperity. We can do it, and we will do it with you. That's very serious understanding. Tolerance level. The value of life, human life, is greater than that of a cow. And it's only when you open the door for conflict
and massive industrial farms in their domain in different categories. You can have massive industrial farm that covers, how many, hundreds of hectares of land to produce cassava, with value chain to process cassava flour, with value chain to process starch, and several other byproducts that will come from that cassava. Even the methanol or what have you that is being exported. So we can really put money into these things and get the best of it, and also get our teaming youth employed. But we deliberately refuse to do it, and we are chasing shadows. We are making statements and making it look as if we are serious, and yet we are not. If we are serious, we should do the serious thing, the serious business. Not waste time on it and come and be telling us stories. These meetings that they are having as governors, if it doesn't culminate into mandating each and every one of them to have industrial farms that has processing, factory alongside, then they are not ready.
Are there Nigerians willing to go into a farming, Elijah?
That question is not a very beautiful looking, to a large extent, because it's like you're asking me, are the Nigerians willing to develop Nigeria? Are the Nigerians willing to work and make money? It's not very good to look at it from that direction, because as far as I'm concerned, there are Nigerians willing to work in all sector of our economy. There are Nigerians willing to help in the growth and development of our country. There are Nigerians willing to contribute their expertise and skills in all areas. The question you ask is, when you go to the universities of agriculture we have in our country, do you have students in those universities? Okay. The students in those universities, what are they doing there? The people who have been producing the food that you eat, who are they? Are they Europeans? Some of the few that are coming out. Are you aware that in our country as we speak, there are states in our country where citizens of our country pay money, tax to bandits for them to go to their farm and harvest their farms? Non-state actors collecting taxation from farmers, from Nigerians, before they can do their business. And people will think that it is only in the northern part of the country this is happening. It is not true. Go to Igbudu markets, go to May market, go to all our markets in different parts of this state today. You will see the same thing happening, where you will see non-state actors collecting money from the market women before they can even sell what they are selling in the market, extorting them. You have a lot of people as we speak today along our roads collecting money. Non-state actors, we don't know where they are coming from. They don't wear any sort of uniform, collecting money from commercial bus drivers. Then you now come, oh, are they Nigerians, Deltans willing to go into bus driving? We are talking about the fact that it is the responsibility of the government to make all sectors available and train the needed manpowers to work in these various sectors. Because the moment the sector is attractive, the moment the sector has the needed security, the moment the sector has the needed investment, people will naturally gravitate towards that sector. The job of the government is to shine the light, and the people will find their way. That is why you see that experiment has been carried out in the sciences that put a plant in a dark room, a seed rather in a dark room, create a small opening where light can come in. When that seed starts growing, it will grow in the direction of the light. So if you see a situation, for example, let us even assume when Nigerians or youths are not growing in the direction of agriculture, it is because the government has failed in its responsibility to provide light in that direction. Because the moment there is light there, people naturally go in the direction of light.
Okay, let's take you away from this agriculture. And yesterday something happened which the Nigerian government closed the case, the trial of Nnamdi Kanu. I'll bring this one to Bright here this morning. Is it a good way forward for the IPOB leader, Nnamdi Kanu?
Okay, but prior to now, a lot of us, have asked the question as to why the continuous detention of Nnamdi Kanu, even after several, court has granted him, bail, or could not find any reason why he should continue to remain in detention. But, the government continued to come up with many cases, many reasons why he should be detained. In fact, they continue to obtain several orders from different courts to continue to detain Nnamdi Kanu. So, if today they are deciding to close the case, and they cannot also come to say, okay, we could not find anything incriminating about this man, this man should be set free. They just, okay, let's close the case. For me, it's almost like coming back to what we have been asking of, because some people have been begging for the release of Nnamdi Kanu, even though the court did not declare him guilty, because some people will say if you agree to that as well, it means you have agreed that Nnamdi Kanu is guilty, so he was just being set free on the benevolence of the government in power. But from what we are getting now, truly, if that is the case, then they are now koto to all the whole argument that we've been having, all the opposition that will be saying that if this man, cannot be indicted in any way, then he should be set free. And once you cannot find anything incriminating, it will get to the point where you have to, close your case on such man.
Is that true democracy gradually showing up in Nigeria?
No, I think strongly, when the federal government closes their case, I think it's a legal term to a large extent. So you need to understand it a little bit, is that when you have a prosecuting counsel and you have your defense counsel, so the prosecuting counsel open their case in courts because they are the ones who have alleged, and according to our law, he who alleges must prove. So they have not alleged that this man is this man is this, and the man is ready to go to court and he's saying, no, I did not. So what the prosecuting counsel, now the federal government, does is to open their case. When they say they open their case, it simply means they start bringing in witness, bringing in documents to prove before the courts that what they have said concerning this man is actually true. When they are done providing their witnesses, they are done providing their documents, and they are done with all of that, what they now do when they are done finally, the legal word that is used is that you now close your case. It simply means you are done. So the defense counsel, which is Nnamdi Kanu's defense team now, will now open their own defense. So when they are done with their own defense, they also close and they do their final submission. After they do their final submission, the courts, based on the facts provided before it, will now look at what was presented by the prosecuting counsel and the defense counsel and now come to a final conclusion and give their verdict. So now that the federal government has closed their case on Nnamdi Kanu's issue, we expect the defense counsel to open their case and started the entire process. So the legal process is still ongoing.
Okay, but we are heading towards at least what people have been calling on the federal government to do on Nnamdi Kanu's
Yes, what we have been saying, people like us have been saying is that there should be an expeditious hearing. And to a large, the case has not been moving. The case has not been moving. You will see a situation where there's an adjournment for 3 months, there's an adjournment for 6 months. We say no now. You cannot. What it means is that the man is already serving punishment for a crime he has not been pronounced guilty of by the courts. That is what that kind of situation creates. But when you have an expeditious hearing of the case, it simply means within the space of maybe 6 months, within the space of 1 year, the entire case is dispensed with. And we know if the man is guilty, if the man is not guilty, and the court gives a verdict. And the moment the court gives a verdict, we expect the situation where the government too immediately obeys the verdict of the courts. And not a situation where when the court gives a verdict, you find a way not to obey it and find a way to say you are appealing it and still keep the man in detention. The idea of appeal is not to deny the beneficiary of a particular judgment of court from reaping the fruit of the benefits of that initial judgment first. But unfortunately, that is not the situation that we have had so far. But however, we want to say so far the case is moving at a speed to a large extent. We want to say it's a bit commendable. Let us expect that it's going to move at that pace, and let's quickly come to the end of this particular case.
And yesterday we also had Natasha Akpotu's 50 million naira bail granted to her. Let's just make little of that one this morning. I'll come to you right on that one.
Okay, yes, the case is still on. I mean, after this bill, the case has not come to an end. But what we usually find as concerning is the amount, we see has been levied. Imagine if these guys are not millionaires in their status. You can imagine what that would mean to an ordinary man going to get somebody who can afford 50 million naira before they can get bail. So maybe the court will want to do better. I think the idea of saying, okay, we can confiscate your passport or something so that you don't run away, maybe I will consider that rather than the huge financial implication. Is that really necessary? But this is what we've come to see in our judiciary as part of ways to keep you in check, to ensure that, okay, you are not going to run away. After all, you have paid 50 million naira for as a bail condition. So we'll see how the case will develop as we progress. But what is also very funny is the fact that this case is being brought to the courts by the federal government. And the other time I checked, I was wondering, what is the difference between the federal government suing two members of the Senate? One is the Senate president, the other one is a member of the Senate. And these are, arms of the federal government. Mm-hmm. So if the arms of the federal government is being, members of this arm is now being sued by the federal government. So I now see that there's a federal government that is more federal than the other. So it's not the best of development we have come to see. But of course, this is Nigeria. We will just follow the case and see what comes out of it.
Okay, let's talk about the bottom page of The Guardian. It says, TCN accuses politicians, saboteurs, of vandalizing the city tours. I'll come to Laju on this one. TCN accuses politicians and saboteurs of vandalizing the city tours.
Sorry, let me quickly get that again. I'm sorry, I was trying to put something quickly.
TCN accuses politicians, saboteurs, of vandalizing the city tours. Let's end with that one this morning.
Yeah, that is normal of things we see in our country, and it's about the security issues that we've talked about again. Are you going to say you don't expect vandals to try vandalize federal government infrastructure, state infrastructures? The answer is no. Even private infrastructure, you always expect that vandals will be there trying to vandalize and do whatever they want to do. But again, it is expected that you do what you ought to do to provide a needed security to those infrastructure. It's not something you want to encourage, but it's going to be utopian in thinking for anybody to feel that you are going to have a state where you don't have some deviance, where you don't have criminality. There are always individuals who want to involved in criminality. There are always individuals who want to involve in some mischief and all of that, but it is the responsibility of the state to put all of that in check. So what differentiates what we see in our crime from other crimes or sinner crimes is the extent to which they are able to curb criminality and some of these activities. So if we don't have it being curbed to a large extent, then you see a major breakdown in provision of service in those sectors and in those areas, for example, in the area of electric power supply and all of that. But if, for example, we have a situation where this is well curbed to a large extent, maybe 80% to 90%, then you are likely not to see more of a disruption in the provision of some of these services. So we just need to improve a little bit more on how we secure national infrastructure and some of these major things we need in our country.
Well, if you join us, we're almost wrapping up today's edition, News from the Dailies. But before we go, we'll take a look at this and then let's see exactly ways forward in our country. I'll begin with the front pages of the papers here. Violent attack, peacetime killing Nigeria. The question is, how can Nigerians survive this and the economic hardship? What's the way forward for the nation Nigeria and the occupants of the nation?
Currently, the biggest of challenge Nigerians are facing the issue of insecurity and cost of living. Now, these two issues are what we expect the government of the day, both at the federal and state level, to tackle. If they can look at this issue headlong and tackle them, they will be out of the woods. But the fact that we make the issue of insecurity look like rocket science in the way and manner we have handled the issue of insecurity is the biggest challenge we have with how governance has fared thus far. They are not taking seriously the issue of insecurity, because other than that, we can't be losing over 200 lives, in one day, and yet you claim that the government is working on securing the country, or they are doing so much to tackle the issue of insecurity. They are not doing so much. They are not doing enough. We can't continue to have open grazing where farmers are being attacked, their crops being destroyed by herders, and you claim that, we need to find a way to live together, just like you want to see the president speaking in a nationalist point of view to say, we are brothers and sisters. He said the other time that we are one family living in one house but different room, and those kind of statements. Those kind of statement doesn't make sense to me, because at the end of the day, even if we are living in one house and like he claimed different room, does it mean that you are going to destroy my room because we are living in one house? So it doesn't make sense. That's how we trivialize this issue of insecurity. Then you talk about the issue of food inflation. I've said severally that we cannot curb food inflation just by talking insecurity. Insecurity is one. You will tackle insecurity. If the government, for example, have got a farmland in partnership with private sector, a PPP plan, do you think they will allow herders to go destroy the farmland? They won't. And so is it because it's a private business, a private business of an ordinary man? Let's even say it's a known politician, a private known politician that decide to put money in agriculture to own a farmland. Do you think that private politician would allow his farmland get destroyed by herders? He won't. He wouldn't. So let's be sincere with ourselves. This government of Nigeria, as we speak, they are not sincere with Nigerians, and they are not tackling insecurity, and they are not even investing in agriculture, yet they claim they have plans to tackle food inflation. There's no plan on ground yet.
Let's come to Laji. One word from you to help Nigeria from all these challenges we're going through.
There's no one magic wand that will just fix everything as we speak at the moment, because there are quite a lot of things that we are dealing with, and unfortunately it appears that the leadership is not understand some of these challenges we are facing, and they appear to put their political interests ahead above the interest of the people. So we must find a way to fix a leadership issue first in our country, because that is where it all starts. And in fixing leadership issues, you must also fix the citizens' challenge too. Yes, we know that a lot of people have talked about the Joseph Sterling's principle, where you defeather the hen or the chicken. So whenever you throw any corn at the chicken runs back to you, forgetting that you were the one who defeated it and has incapacitated it. But our people must understand that they are not chicken. We are human beings. We have the capacity to rise beyond our immediate challenges and immediate needs. That is why it got to the point in Syria where the leopard or the cripple told themselves that, see, if we remain here, we are going to die of hunger and starvation. If we decide to go to the camp of the Arameans, they are either going to still kill us or we are going to find food there to eat. That is what the typical warrior people will tell you, all die and die. So we must get to the point where the citizens must understand that all die and die, not negatively but positively, in waking up to their constitutional responsibilities and telling the political class to hell with you, with your money and whatever you want to give, but we are going to now demand of you to do that which is right and not celebrate mediocrity. That is the major problem. One of the major problems is that we have a citizenry that is so good at celebrating mediocrity, at celebrating the people who is plunging them into penury, poverty, and hunger.
Our time is up this morning. News of the Dailies comes to an end today, Friday. Join us on Monday. It's every Monday, it's still Fridays. And Saturdays are always a compilation of the major happenings in the country. To stay with us this morning, and of course, remember, shortly we'll be having, of course, this edition of Divine Touch. But stay with us and have more time.